brother. This may be the last fresh air we ever taste.
Welcome to Narkina 5. This is an Imperial factory facility. You've all been assessed as label-worthy.
It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
And welcome back to Generation Skywalker for our fourth special episode dedicated to a look back and reflection on Andor Season 1. We've already had a general overview session, a show dedicated to the first 3 episodes, what we're referring to as the recruitment arc, and followed by an episode dedicated to Andor episodes 4 to 6, often known as the Aldani arc or the mission. Now today's show is going to cover Andor Season 1, episodes 7 through to 10. So the announcement and the Narkina arc, what we're probably going to refer to as the sentence, the incarceration. So who am I joined by tonight? I'm joined by the Generation Skywalker usual crowd, apart from one tonight. I've got Dan Burgess. Hi Dan, how you doing?
Hello there.
How are you feeling? Pretty good?
Very good. Looking forward to season 2.
Yeah.
It's getting me hyped for it.
This is going to be good. Yeah, indeed. We're all looking forward to it. Are you feeling pretty Star Warsy at the moment?
I am, mate. Yeah, I've got my mojo back.
Nice. Loving it. Okay, awesome. Also joined by the man with 2 first names, Peter Lee. How are you doing, Peter? You all right, buddy?
I'm very good. Evening, Jez. How are you, mate?
Yeah, amazing. No, I'm very well. Thanks very much. I am feeling all up for Star Wars and looking forward tonight. And we've got Echo Live this weekend, which I'm always looking forward to, and everyone's going to be getting together to go to that. So
Indeed.
Right then, who else? He's been incredibly popular. He was on our first Andor show, and what a coup that was. He was on Arc 1, amazing, giving us all the insights. He was on the second arc, and he's come back for more. This is the man, Anto Kreegyr, co-lead graphic designer on Andor Series 2, graphic designer from Series 1, the man, the myth, the legend. It's Barry Gingell.
Nailed it. Well done. Good evening.
Hey,
nice to be
how you
back.
doing?
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Barry, thank you for coming back, because like Stu was on our last show. Stu can't make it tonight, but he just said, listening to you talking about the show and the process behind it, it was like Stu was listening to a live episode himself, and he was one of the people on the actual show. You know, you've able to bring so much, and we're hugely grateful. How are you feeling about the upcoming season 2?
I'm really excited, actually. When the trailers are dropping, the buzz in our WhatsApp groups is really quite high. So many of the guys that worked on it are just hyped for it to come out, hyped to see it, and excited, which is great. And it just does look good. I can't wait for people to see it.
Yeah, it does.
It's better than season 1.
And we're not going to ask you any more questions on season 2 because we know that you can't answer them. So we're not going to put you in that position. But
no, thank you.
But there is plenty to go through on season 1. It truly is incredible. Right, fellas, we do this pretty much every week. We just need to shake it down a little bit and need to warm up. And I always ask you a little bit of a daft question, and most of the time I put you on the spot. Whereas earlier on, just before I nipped off out, I said, right, what I want from you is an act and a song. So what's going to happen is we are just a month or so away from Eurovision Song Contest, and we've been asked to put on an Andor themed act and a song, naturally, as part of the Eurovision Song Contest. So I'm going to come to you, fellas. What have you got, and what are you singing? Dan, going to come to you first of all.
I've got a punk band.
A punk band, nice.
Yeah, they're really anti-Empire. They are called the Rick's Rioters, and they sing a song called, you can believe this, Jez, "Fuck the Empire."
Right.
Real punk, hard rock punk song.
Liking it. Do you think that's going to go down well at Eurovision? I think it might do, actually. Particularly with the Scandinavians. I think they like that sort of stuff as well.
Exactly.
So. Liking that a lot. Peter, what have you got, mate? Eurovision.
I don't know. I think I might have missed your message earlier. So.
Brilliant. Classic, Peter. Right, okay. Yeah, cheers, Cyril.
But it's got to be, sort of similar to Dan's theme. Surely some kind of take on anarchy in the UK, right? Get a Sex Pistols vibe going.
Oh, okay. Big Pistols. Nice. And so let's go to Barry. What have you got, Baz?
So the band's called The Boys in Blue.
Oh.
It's electro dance funk, and the song's called Pockets of Fomenting.
Oh. Yeah.
And part of the choreography is as they're dancing, they're just like throwing like rainbow confetti out of their pockets as they're going.
Yeah. That's the whole fruit, isn't it? You're appealing to everyone there.
I mean, that was the plan.
Yeah,
give the people
it.
what they want.
Yeah, totally.
I've got another one. I've got another because I had a sparing because I thought someone else might beat me to Rick's Writers or something to do with that. So I've got the Ballad of Narkina 5.
Right.
Song called No Way Out.
Oh, and, that's good.
I put it through AI to give me some lyrics. So I've actually got the words.
Go on.
White walls, cold steel, numbers instead of names. Endless shifts, bare feet, trapped inside their game. They say they work fast, then that they say they work clean. So you'll learn what silence means. We build the wall, we feed the greed. They hold the key, they watch us bleed. But in the dark, we hear the sound, a whisper rising underground. And it goes on, but yeah, it's very good.
Wow.
Okay. But
wow.
Nice. Just
that's hardcore.
Peter's notifications on his messenger. Good stuff.
I'm looking for it now. I can't find it. I'll have to get back to you then because that's gonna.
I've got one because I usually when I come up with these questions, you're like, oh, what about you, Jez? You melon. So. Again, very much like we're all a bit fighty, aren't we? Because I came up with the Colleen Scrappers, which apparently is the name of Colleen's store, her shop, or one of the alternative names of it, Colleen Scrappers. And it's going to be Bix in a sort of dirty coveralls, Tim in his dirty coveralls, me in some dirty coveralls, and actually Brasso's going to have a guest appearance as well. And we're doing Uptown Girl with Mon Mothma strutting up and down like a real posho, and it's going to be a sort of little bit of a homage to Billy Joel, and we're just going to be talking about this Uptown Girl, and it's going to be Mon Mothma in her poshness.
Why are you there, Jez?
Because
you want to get involved.
I want to get involved, and I just because the brief was you're doing Eurovision, so I was like, well, that's going to be me then, isn't it? And I'll stand next to Bix, and it'll be great.
I
So there we go.
can tell you, her place was called the Kayleen Sal Yard.
Yeah, that's right. I did Google it earlier on, and I wonder if this is still on. Oh yeah, Kayleen Salyard, also known as the Kayleen Scrappers, was a salvage yard. That's what I got on Star Wars Fandom. But
I don't know where that Scrappers is. I have never heard that before.
Yeah, StarWarsFandom.com. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for correcting me on that. It goes on to say, following the death of her parents, the salvage yard was run by Kayleen. Her lover, Tim Carlo, worked alongside her as a floor manager.
Blooming Tim.
Yeah, wild order. Right then, so I think we're all warmed up, and Peter's with us. So that was a low blow on a Pete. You just sorry, mate, you didn't see your message.
I'm still scrolling through the messages.
Okay, right then. Should we get on with it? So, the first episode, which we're going to go through, episode number 7, The Announcement, was directed by Benjamin Caron and written by Stephen Schiff. Stephen Schiff, does that name ring a bell, Dan?
Oh, yes. So he was the guy, wasn't he the guy that was originally the showrunner? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, he was the original showrunner. When we spoke about it, didn't we, on that first episode? And he did say that, or it was said that he hung around and did get involved. And yeah, this is the episode which he wrote. So, and there's loads going on in The Announcement. So what we're going to do, I know that we said that we were going to go through this as a whole arc, but we'll just have a little look at The Announcement. And then after The Announcement, we're going to talk about the next 3, which were directed by Toby Haynes and written by Beau Willimon. So we'll break down the first episode, as we did in a very similar way last episode, in our last show. So we've got ISB and Cyril, Mon Mothma and Coruscant. But then what we'll do is we'll also talk about the sort of the goodies of Ferrix, and then we'll go into episode 8 through to 10. So episode 7, The Announcement, starts off very much like episode 5 with Cyril looking glum in his room. And then he's getting an earful from his mum. She's giving him a really, really hard time over everything, standard. And then they hear the news report about what's happened in Aldhani. And then we cut straight to that ISB meeting and all sorts of stuff kicking off there. The ISB, every time we go back to this meeting, we spoke about it last time. Baz, you spoke about the set and how much you loved it, but there's a lot going on here, fellas, isn't there? From an ISB point of view, and you've got Yularen in there talking about, the only question we need to answer is how tight to close our fist. All sorts of stuff going on, but Dedra, she's not overly happy about all this. But with regards to the ISB in episode 7, what were you seeing and sort of interactions between them? Because there wasn't a lot.
Didn't they? Yeah, they mentioned. Is that the first mention of Palpatine? Because one of the guy that comes in who briefs him.
Yeah,
it's kind of like I spoke to Emperor Palpatine last night, and you just see everyone kind of moving, shifting their seats a little bit just at the mention of his name, which was I thought that was quite interesting.
Absolutely.
And the whole thing with the cheeky, this is what Luthen wants. He wants this. He wants the reaction. He wants to cause rebellion, and they're feeding right into his hands. She's the only one that really sees that.
Yeah, she's smart, isn't she? She really is. So up until this stage, we had seen Partagaz was holding court, and now it's kicked off. So they've gone up a rank or so. Laren's in there. Lots of harsh talk, but lots of awkwardness amongst them. There's just lots of eyes on each other and just people looking shifty. Lots of power, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, Emperor Palpatine gets name dropped, and then they start talking about the Public Order Resentencing Directive, a Class 1 offence. You're absolutely right. Dedra's not happy with that.
You're not pleased?
We're playing straight into their hands.
Whose hands?
The rebels. This is exactly what they want. We're treating what happened at Aldhani like a robbery.
What would you call it?
An announcement.
In that first episode, you just see it goes back to the ISB just a couple of times, and there's a couple of sort of minor moments with Dedra as well. It's a real scene setter for Dedra. Even the way she just admonishing one of the ISB attendants, Felzonis. He's the one who's got his tunic's looking a mess. He's calling her sir. He's calling her mum. He's calling her sir. He's calling her mum. He's really, really nervous around her. And then, the whole, yes, mum, can do. And she just says, will do. Get on with it. In a real menacing way.
That was so good.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it does make me think when you go back to this is like the Empire, the apex of the Empire. In the background they're building the Death Star, but you think of all the trouble that Luke Skywalker and those guys cause, what it would be like. You almost want another show. We need another season, Barry, that takes place, not obviously called Andor, because we know what happens in Rogue One, but carrying on that story between episodes 3 and between 4 and 5, and then just seeing the outcome, after the Death Star's been destroyed, how these guys would react to that, because this is just a bank robbery, and it's kind of like the world's burning down, right? Give people longer sentences, all the tighten our grip. It's like, geez, okay.
That would be good, wouldn't it? Like an ISB series, because one of the things I think that Dedra did so well was I was rooting for her. She's like the bad guy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh great, Dedra's on screen. She's great. She's like a hero. She's great. And it wasn't until the torture scene when I was like, oh yeah, this is wrong. And so a whole series with like our hero functionally being a bad guy, but we're rooting for him because that's just how shows work, would be fun.
Yeah. Dedra could be in so much. I mean, we could have a whole Love Island on Scarif with her and Cyril just like seeing what's going to happen. But I don't think that'd be canon. But yeah, she is brilliant, and this is her. The whole ISB focus is just about her and her rising through it all. Even to the point where much later, she is name dropped and mentioned as the rising star and one to be concerned about. But it's brilliant, and it's noted by all. Her arch nemesis Blevin. Because in one of the when we come back to the ISB in episode 7. They have a real lively session when Blevin has it out for her, and he says silence is no longer possible, and it's just they're pitted against each other, and it gets quite brutal, doesn't it? I love it.
It is funny how those ISB scenes are so exciting and good.
Yeah,
and I think Partagaz, I always forget that guy's name. Is such a good actor. That he gives a look and you're like, oh, it's kicking off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I just would like more of it. I just want more. Like you say, I want a show about that.
It's so cool, though, because I think I mentioned it before. Brevity, he really gives off senior officer vibes because he just says, thesis, please. And that's it. That's all he needs to say. And then she's just like, well, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, Mira wins, Dedra wins. Blevin looks absolutely crestfallen. And you don't really get to see him much for a while after that, until later on in, Rick's Road episodes. But there's something which I've sort of picked up. Maybe it's a subtlety, maybe it's nothing. But they all use surnames all the time. Like, so many military things do. And at the end of that session, Partagaz goes through the whole meeting. He summarizes it, saying, right, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this. And then at the end, he just says, Dedra, will you walk with me for a minute? And he's dropped the surname and he's just gone for her first name. And I don't know, am I overreading that? It's just a real subtlety, isn't it? That it's quite a soft skill from that point of view.
I don't think Tony would do it without a deliberate move, So that's what he was trying to convey, that maybe this guy actually does like her.
Yeah.
Well, that's when he says to watch her back as well, doesn't he?
That's right.
So he's keeping an eye.
I get the impression she was expecting a little bit more, because he's like, "You'll walk with me," and he's like, well played, watch your back, and that was it, and that's our conversation over. But it was just maybe a good bit of advice. But love all those sessions. Really, really did. So that's all we got from an ISB point of view on episode 7. And what we said, we linked it to Cyril. All he had to do in that one was go off to his new job in the Bureau of Standards. What an amazing opening that was, in fuel purity. So good on you, Cyril and Uncle Harlow.
Did you have much to do with that, Barry, in terms of that set design? It looks like, obviously a lot of it's CG in terms of the scale of it, but
well, as I remember, we actually built 12 of those pods.
Right, okay.
And so they all, it's hard, I don't think you really see it, but they all have a little bit of vinyl detailing on. They all have the computer screens that needed work on. But obviously that's not us, but it's one of those things we sort of help manage. The vinyl is all us. The buttons and panels and controls is all us. I think Matt did those. Matt Hindle, I think, did those ones. I think he did a good job. They look great. But like I said, I'm sure it was 12. So when you see that massive thing all together, it really does look good, doesn't it? The sort of pointless bureaucracy of the Empire just on display.
Yeah, it's not sort of play, and it is almost that prison. It is almost a prison, But he doesn't. You can see Cyril just does not want to be there, and it is the 9 to 5 grind. No windows looking outside, and it's just dire. It's not a great place to work.
That's it. That's his prison. I'm sure that's a deliberate move. Like there's the Narkina 5 is Andor's, and that's his.
Yeah. So there are kind of baddies just in that first episode of the announcement, but then Mon Mothma. So Aldani's just kicked off, all sorts of things happening. And we get to see Luthen in his shop with Claire, and Mon Mothma arrives unexpectedly, and comes straight in there and asks him questions. Was this you? Was this you? So these people who are connected, and there's still so many secrets, isn't there? And you see this all the way through the arc, that Luthen in particular is just holding back bits of information from all of these different people who he's meant to be working with. He really is the sort of center, the conductor, the orchestrator of everything. But the Mon Mothma, again, she's stressed, isn't she? She needs a pint. She's really, really stressed out.
And again, you just see how good of an actress she is.
We've waited long enough.
You realize what you set in motion?
It was time for that as well.
Palpatine won't hesitate now.
Exactly. We need it. We need the fear. We need them to overreact.
You can't be serious.
The Empire has been choking us so slowly we're starting not to notice. The time has come to force their hand.
People will suffer.
That's the plan.
When those two are together, it is electric, because they're both, you just can't take your eyes off either of them.
Did that in that scene? They talk about a vow. I'm not sure whether it's that the last round when they met in the antique shop, or this time, and they talk about the vow later on as well. Is that what do you think that is? Is it just them standing in a room and saying, I'm against the Empire and I'm going to take it down at all costs, or is there something more to it? Because Luthen puts a lot of weight on that vow. It's really important to him, and I wonder what that is, and who is involved.
Yeah, good question. Don't know.
So I always wait just in case we get any nuggets or anything from.
Yeah. But I want to see. I know, jumping right ahead, but where this season ends and then the next one will start, probably worlds apart. But I'm assuming Andor's going to have to do that vow, and I wonder if it will get broached anymore. But I guess we'll find out.
Is it Lonnie? He uses it on later, doesn't he? He mentions it.
That's it. Yeah. They talk about the vow a lot.
And Vel talks about it to Mon, and Luthen talks about it. There's all this talk about vow. Absolutely, great question. So they're in the shop. And they're going through the whole pretense which they, you know, did in the previous arc about, you know, using the items there. He likes it, not sure if he loves it. What about this? What about that? And, you know, he's just turning on the charm. And one of his lines is, he holds up this really old weapon so the driver can see it. You know, your drama armor, lad. And he says, has anyone ever made a weapon that wasn't used? And all of these things, they're all sort of connected. But all this time, whilst they're having that conversation, Claire is listening next door. Because, you know, jury's still out on her, isn't it? Is she the boss? Is Luthen the boss? We don't know at this stage, because she's really keeping him in check often. And I think she's the yin to his yang, and they both work very well with each other, both very reliant on each other. But yeah, she's listening, very, very listening next door. Yeah. But the lines, Palpatine won't hesitate now. Exactly. We need it. We need the fear. The Emperor's been choking us so slowly that we started not to notice. And she's like, people will suffer. And then afterwards he just says, yeah, that's the plan. It's brutal, it's calculated, but it's what's needed, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that goes back, and Deirdre's obviously got his number on that one. But yeah, it's still, I know it goes right back to when we did record the first show, but there's definitely more to Luthen. You know, it's that he's kind of like the good opposite to Palpatine, but still he's using his tactics of division and manipulation to get what he wants, and by this robbery and kicking this off and doing it in such a public way, it's just kicked everything off, and this is exactly what he wants.
Well, I thought about you when I saw this again the other day. I don't know what was it, my 6th viewing, 7th viewing, I'm not sure. But I know what you said about him being a Jedi in the past, and we're like, oh yeah, maybe. When she goes to leave, when they've had their argument, and she's like, I've decided not to take anything, or what have you. He does this hand gesture, right? He just shoves his hand real quickly in the air, and the front door opens, and I'm like, huh? So, you know, it's obviously some sort of remote control or something like that. And I'm like, he's just done a Jedi gesture and opened that door with the Force. Yeah. But there is definitely more to Luthen for sure.
I'm so excited.
Claire's line, Claire just comes out after she's left, and she just says, I hope she's worth it. And then Luthen says, yeah, we'll see, won't we? We can't hide forever. And it's building. The tension is building. But then they move on to this thing, which I think is so Second World War, particularly from a UK, from an England mainland point of view, because there's lots of underground sort of meetings and homeland, sort of the home front security, and people being concerned about espionage and all some really, really closely guarded secrets, in the UK in the Second World War, with the secret rebellion signs on the floor. And Claire walking along, going looking for Vel.
And it was actually the shot. If you notice, it's actually my crest.
Right.
It's the talon that you see on the opening of the show.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, mate. I saw it was like a circle with a line through it from the angle I saw.
Which is the simplified version of the logo I did for the opening of the show. It only appears functionally 3 times in the show.
Right.
Once there, it's on crates in Saw Gerrera's cave, but we didn't see it.
Right.
And the lift that Lonnie uses, about an inch underneath it, we scratched it into the metal, scratchiti style, as the kids used to say about in the noughties. Like, scratched it in about 2 inches under the lift panel.
Nice.
To show it's like a rebel thing.
Yeah.
But that's about the only times you see it. And we didn't catch it then either. So that one use of it on the floor is almost, I think, the only time in the show it exists.
Right. Because, they made a real big deal of that, of her looking along, looking at it and thinking, right, that's where I need to go. I love that whole scene. I love the vibe of it. It was a real... What vibe did you get from her costume? Let's just talk about if you can picture it. what Clea was wearing. I don't know if you can picture it, but it was awesome. It was this cool hooded top and heeled boots with a big sort of power belt on top of the top. It looked really 80s, got like a total 80s vibe from it. But yeah, an undercover 80s agent. But I just thought that whole scene just was a real sort of sizzle. I just thought it looked brilliant.
The filming angles are great as well, though, because you get a lot of up shots and down shots, don't you, on the sort of the faces, which just adds to the scenario. They're all kind of coming together. And that the clothes she's wearing as well gave me. Who's the character in episode? It's one of the prequels, the big red, the white-headed character who's got like the big red collars on. Similar to that, isn't it?
Oh, on Utapau, I think you mean. I think it was. Oh, blimey, what was his name? St. Spence, the guy that was the gyro cat in Mad Max 2. Yeah, him.
Yeah, similar to that big red, like the big collars coming up above the head.
Oh,
you just taught me something as well, Barry. I didn't realise I saw Guerrero was on Crate. I didn't know that.
Oh no! The crates.
I thought you meant that's the planet. I'm like, what crate? Last bit I referenced.
No, my apology.
Oh,
the crates. There were so we do a load of stickers and vinyls and painting and whatever on all the crates, but because why would you focus on those when you've got two great actors? So it just went unnoticed.
They're on Segro Milo or something like that, I think. Yeah. Right. Nice.
And my apologies for scaring you.
Oh dear. And that was filmed. Where was that in terms of the shots? There was that on set, or was that some of the? Because that looks a lot quite industrial, doesn't it? Is there a bit filmed on location in London somewhere? Was that some of the stuff that was filmed at Barbican, or
it was? There was a mixture of Barbican and McLaren.
Right. Okay.
Because when she's going through like all the tube station, quote unquote, like the stationy bit, that's McLaren. And then when she's out and about in concrete, that's Barbican.
Right. Very good.
Mm.
Yeah, we used McLaren quite a bit actually.
Very good.
It was quite funny. I remember rocking up to the car park, and at the time I was driving a 2-year-old 1 litre Yaris, and I made sure to park between like McLarens and Ferraris and Lambos. Like, these car parks were insane. And I was like, yeah, I got my Yaris, baby.
So where's McLaren? Is that in town as well? Is that in London?
That's Woking.
Okay.
Yeah, so like the full-on F1 action.
There's so much going on in this first episode. It's untrue. So you got Mon getting together with her old friend Tay Colmo, and you just want those two to get. They got rekindled on Facebook or whatever, didn't they? And they've just sort of become reacquainted. They belonged with each other, not pairing. But yeah, I love that scene between Mon Mothma and Tay, where she's figuring out, does she want to talk to him, does she want to open up, and that whole conversation. We've spoken about how great this writing is now for 4 episodes, but it's brilliant. She is awesome in that.
So good. Is that no, I forget, I get confused with their speeches. That's not the stone and the knife at your throat. We're well past that one, aren't we?
Yeah, no, it is.
So it is that one. Sorry.
Yeah, she's
that is such a good line, and she delivers it so well. And it really is like when she trusts him, you're like, oh my gosh, this is another person in the network. This is a problem.
It's so good. I would love to play it all in the podcast, but there's just too much of this good stuff. But it's brilliant. They just start talking. She wants to open up to him. He's warning her that people have begun to drift away from the Empire, etc. And he thinks, he's got the wrong end of the stick, and apologizes, saying that he might have had too much of Perrin's embassy punch. And her response is, drink up, just drink more. And, I want you to do that. But then she keeps on saying, she says it 3 times, talking about keep smiling, because she knows that what she's dropping is just going to make his face change. And she's just like, keep up smiling, keep up the pretense, because that's what she's been doing. She's just been smile and wave, boys, smile and wave, and that's her whole thing. So it's like she's reminding Tay to smile. Like on a daily basis, she's reminding herself to, and that's when she says, I've been wondering all day how to speak to you. It's a lie, a projection, a front, smile. You know, I've learned from Palpatine that, you know, that's the line. And she says, they know they watch me. I want that, because as long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing. He says, what are you doing? She says, raising money. He says, raising money for what? She stalls. And then he says, you haven't answered my question. She says, I won't. You're better off not knowing. Or perhaps you find my politics a bit strong for your taste. Parents on his way over. He knows none of this. He's not to be trusted. Smile. It's just so good.
It really is.
It's just tense. It's just tension, but just so beautifully executed. It's just really good. So that she says smile 3 times in the space of 5 minutes, and I don't know who she's saying it for, her or Tay.
You haven't answered my question.
And I won't. You're better off not knowing. Or perhaps you find my politics a bit strong for your taste. Perrin's on his way over. He knows none of this. He's not to be trusted. Smile.
Oh. What a good line, Jez. Love that.
It is. Then you've got this thing where Vel's been, Claire is walking along, and she has her meeting with Vel, and quite clearly Vel's a bit disappointed. She thought Luthen would be there, and Claire's very matter of fact, and this is when sort of Claire then sets her the task of killing Andor, the loose end. They're quite brutal about all of this, and it's just very, very matter of fact. Yeah, you need to kill him. This is what revolution looks like, Val. And so we've heard the whole thing about revolution in Andor season 2, but yeah, they're mentioning that word for word in the first one. And yeah, and then a lot of the focus in this first episode is then on Ferrix. With Andor's got back. He's back at Ferrix. He's off to Marva's. And we'll cut it short, but he just wants to escape. He just wants to get out of there. But Marva's not really down for that, is she?
No, she knows she's obviously not well, and she doesn't want to leave. She wants to stay at home. She's lived there for God knows how long, and she just doesn't want to go. He's saying, "Come off school. I've got all this money. We can go anywhere," and she's like, "No."
Yeah.
Much to his dissatisfaction, and then she fills him in on what happened with Tim and everything that's happened since, and everyone blames him. I think Bix is the one that says that, but he went back for her, and yeah, she doesn't want to go.
Yeah, he's trying to convince her, and he's like, "Yeah, we won't go now. Right, we'll go tomorrow. We'll go tomorrow." She kind of shuts him up, and he's like, "Right, I'm going to go and see Bix." So he goes off, and he sees his old friend, who we suspect maybe his old lover, and she's giving him a bit of a hard time. It's just all difficult because everything's just got crap, hasn't it? Because the Empire are there now. Everything's gone bad. Lots of people blame Andor for that, and he's like, "Fine, I'm gone. I'm out of here." And then he leaves. He pays his debts. The Lannisters always pay their debts. He leaves 12,000 credits. And moves on and just says, "Look, this is going to cover everything." And then she looks really sort of sad. She's lost her side hustle. She's lost her side hustle lover and her friend. So Bix is not really enjoying life that much at the moment. And then what we've got is Andor then has a bit of a flashback because he sees some troopers, and then he has a flashback of seeing some clone troopers. In real live TV, you actually get to see some clone troopers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I was so excited about that. I was like, "Oh my!" I just couldn't believe it. And they were, "Is this real? Are we going to see them? Is it happening?" And they were like, "Yeah, costumes are being made." I was like, couldn't believe it. It was so cool. The first clone troopers in live action.
Yeah. I take it some of those costumes we spoke, I think, a couple of episodes ago about sets being destroyed, and all of the Ferrix set probably ended up in a waste ground somewhere. But something like those, they must have kept those, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And did they
kept?
And having them on set like that, well, I mean, because you don't really see them that well. They're just out of focus a little bit, aren't they? Is that just to make you look at, because I suppose it is a little bit disorientating, because you're trying to, oh, they're not stormtroopers, they're clone troopers, and then you then you work out the timeline in your head and go, actually, yeah, this is like just over after Order 66.
I mean, you'd have to ask the director, because this is where it's one of those things where you got to disassociate yourself, because if I was directing it, I'd have spent 30 minutes putting the camera on a clone trooper. You know, I'd have had the camera moving in front of each one's gun barrel, you know, before he shot. And then when they shot, we'd have a close up on each one and the light reflecting on it. I just wouldn't have stopped putting a camera on a clone trooper. Whereas that director was very much like, that's not actually what this is about. It's about the death of his father at the hands of the Empire. Because while they are clones, I think the timeline is meant to be like, you know, the transition.
Yeah, I read that it was the first year of Imperial rule, which is straight out of Revenge of the Sith, so like a year on.
Yeah. So that's what that scene is about. It isn't about fan service for clone troopers, much to my dismay. But that's just not what this show's about.
But that's the genius about it, because every time you rewatch it, you do get to see more. So when I first saw that, in my embarrassment and honesty, I probably didn't notice the clone troopers, because I was so busy looking at, you know, the death of his stepfather, Clem, you know, and you know, the hanging of Clem in the square, and all those other things. So, you know, you first watch it, and then it's only when you go back a second time, you're like, oh wow, yeah, clone troopers.
I'm not sure. I think they might have contacted I think it might have been a 501st member, just to get one to have a look at, if memory serves. Can't quite remember, but because it was the first one, they didn't have all the info and the knowledge.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
If I had to guess, though, I would have thought that you know, with like Lucasfilm, everything was done on, obviously in the prequels in computers, that they'd have had those models and just 3D printed them. That would have been, if you'd have said to me, how would they do it, I would have thought that would have been the first stop.
Yeah, well, I mean, the guys that make the stuff are actually outsourced to a separate company,
right?
And they do a great job. And I know they're working on, they just work on so many movies and TV productions. And when you go in their workshop, it's insane.
I bet.
Like, oh yeah, just all of the stuff lined up on the shelves ready to go is bonkers. And real nice guys, really good at what they do. But I don't know if, you know, in the same way that when you're 3D printing, you know, miniatures, you can't just press the Bigify button. It's just not how it works. It's not how it works. You know, it's got to wrap around a real person and so I can't imagine it was as simple as that. And I'm sure they did contact someone and get one in to have a look at and stuff. But they looked great on camera. I just wish we'd seen them more.
Yeah.
If they kept the costumes, who knows? I think they were in Ahsoka, weren't they? They were in Ahsoka, weren't they? A little bit. There was an episode, obviously that episode where they did the World Between Worlds with Anakin and Ahsoka, that had clones in it. I wonder if it was the same costumes.
I believe they got sent to the States after us.
There you go.
Yeah, so that was good. And then that leads into Andor. Then he goes back to collect Marva, because at this stage he still thinks he's managed to convince Marva to leave, and no, she's the rebel right now. And then she gives a little sort of mini story about how, you know, for 13 years she'd been hiding long enough in Ferrix, she wasn't going to leave. He says, oh, what's left to keep you here? And she's like, the rebellion. And she's really sort of proud about it, the rebellion. She said Ferrix has been hiding long enough. And she goes on to talk about it. For 13 years, she turned left before the square and takes the long road, so she doesn't have to think about Clem hanging there. But then when she heard about the attack at Aldhani, she put on her best coat and she walked across the square with a smile on her face. And it's such sort of defiance, isn't it? It's it is that sort of, again, when the chips are down, World War II completely, you know, your country's in turmoil, just defiance of, no, you're not going to take me down. I am going to die here fighting you. And
I think my nan called it the Dunkirk spirit.
Yeah, that's far better. Oh, well done. Yeah, that absolutely, well done, man. Yeah, the Dunkirk spirit. That's it, isn't it? Take all the money you found and go and find peace. And
there's a way she says to him, tells him how much she loves him, but says, you can't stay and I can't go. It's heartbreaking. But the bit that does it, she just as he's about to walk out the door, she says, stop searching for your sister.
Yeah,
that's the killer. And I think, I don't think he ever finds his sister. I mean, we'll find out in a few weeks, but I honestly think that he was always just looking for a purpose, and that was his purpose for so long. And now she's like, actually, that's just a fantasy. Get real. Let it go. I think she says to him the last words.
Dan, you've just put something in my mind. That's brilliant, because she does. She says it's just a fantasy, let it go. But what did you just say? He's always wanted a purpose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, mate, you legend. Because in this entire process, from episode 1 through the 12, he's had this metamorphosis of finding his purpose. And we'll see this, and we'll come on to it, because the whole Narkina 4 is an absolute turning point for that. Because he has a new purpose. So this is like closing that chapter, isn't it? Almost permission to move on. Yeah, his purpose. Let it go. Let it go, he does. Because he's off to Nymos, isn't he, with Windy. That's the name of the young lady who's in the bed.
Her and her Pizos.
Yeah, she wants some Pizos. The greeny green ones, or whatever it is. Yeah, some Pizos and Revnog.
I'm in Pizos.
I'm up for some of that this weekend, fellas. Some Pizos and Revnog. Let's get amongst it. Go off to Blackpool Beach.
Arky's up the beach. He'll be open.
I was planning to go the other way.
No, Arky has any flavours. And we need Pizos. Don't forget the Pizos.
Without the pizzas?
Pizos and Revnog. The greeny green ones. The greeny Revnog. You liked it too.
Yeah, that was the end, wasn't it? When he's there on Namos. And did you go there? Did you go on set?
And no, I set Tom up there because I didn't fancy it, and sent Vinyl Phil, who, if you watch some of the YouTube clips, he's the guy on the cherry picker putting up all the symbols around the cafe.
Right.
But yeah, I was back at base doing things, but they had fun. But that Nymos was great. I could launch into stuff about Nymos. It was so fun. Because just outside that cafe, like the scene where the KX droid picks up Andor and puts him against the wall. Yeah. If you look to the right, if we just pan right a bit, there's actually a whole bunch of little kiosks selling fast food, like Star Wars ice cream, Star Wars gifts, Star Wars snacks. Like there's a whole thing. And they bought all these kiosks in, had them painted, and we actually hired a sign writer to come in and like paint them up like carnival style, rough and ready stuff. I did metal cut signs, stuck them on top, so he could paint all of what each thing did, and they looked great. But the sort of pièce de la résistance, if you will, I think, was we did a rack of postcards because we're at the beach, but because you haven't got your paper, we did plastic postcards, and we asked for permission to use Ralph McQuarrie's concept art. So you've got like a postcard of Bespin, Cloud City. You've got like the mountains that they used for like Lothal in the end.
Yes.
You've got that. I'm sure there's like shots of Tatooine and the suns, but it's just loads. If you can see it in like the Ralph McQuarrie portfolios,
Yes. Yeah.
It was those, but then we altered the colors to be like a 2 or 3 colors only, so it wasn't like a full picture. It was just like a 2 or 3 color 70s colors, printed on plastic.
Very nice. That sounds like some great celebration swag.
Oh yeah, it would be.
Thinking that, yeah.
They're just all there in the racks, but yeah, you just don't see it. And there was like food and gifts and bits and bobs. Like the work that went into that set is phenomenal, and we just didn't see it. We just didn't get a shot of all of those kiosks and bits and bobs. You probably see more on the YouTube videos that people took. Of which there were many.
What people going down there while they were filming and taking videos?
Correct.
Okay.
There was one lady specifically. I think she worked for like the tourist board, and I watched every night. We did in the office. In the office, we watched her videos. She was like, "Hi, welcome to Cleveland's. Don't forget to like and subscribe." And every day, in the office, we would watch her videos to see our friends on the screen. Oh look. There's her. Da, 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 da. And that's how we kept updated with her videos. And there were loads of fans like taking videos and stuff. And what was interesting about this was it's something that was discussed in the office. I remember the grown-ups talking about it a lot, is that Star Wars had not done it before. The notion of just going out and filming on the street where Diego Luna is functionally 4 foot from the public. It has not happened in Star Wars before. Yes, they've gone and shot in deserts when no one's about. Do you know what I mean? But that you can't control it. You can't contain it.
I think it's really cool because the level of secrecy now is. I mean, him filming a scene, on a beach with a shore trooper tells you nothing about the show, and the fact that someone's gone, yeah, let's just go and film it in, UK seaside resort, and it's fantastic. It's brilliant. The set, I mean, everything's. I mean, that where they're on the beach there, when he's being interrogated by the shore trooper, there's like these concrete walls behind it with the round holes in them. Is that actually there? Is that? Right. Okay.
That I think it's chosen because of it. And there was that big. There's the sculpture in the earth.
Right.
Like a weird sculpture in the earth that's like a spiral. And I remember at the time there were loads of videos of YouTubers going, "We're pretty sure this is a portal to the other world." It's like, what? And then someone photoshopped an X-wing crashed onto the beach.
Right.
And I look at it and go, well, it's obviously a Photoshop.
Yeah,
but plenty of people just looking on their phones like, oh my God, there's an X-wing on the sand. This is crazy. This is a scoop. This is an exclusive. And like, mate, it's not real.
Yeah, check it on Street View on Google. It is all there. It's amazing. Just walking straight to the set, how much they've actually used that is actually built in that place, part of the architecture.
Yeah, and that's why they went there. And for the beach and for the shots of the sun, like Rogue One, and I think we dropped in palm trees. We dropped in the phone booths. We basically redressed the ones from Gavelox, changed the colours.
When it cuts into the scene, there's a woman drinking from a straw, and it's like a curly wordy straw. Did you make that?
I didn't make that one. That would have been the prop guys. That was the prop guys.
Do you know which one I'm talking about? Though, it's right. It's proper up front in the camera, and she's got a big old nose on her, bless her, and she's sucking from this drink.
The main thing I remember about that was there was the alien dudes in their little chairs, like they were in.
Yes.
That was like the biggest thing. People were losing their minds over those before we shot it.
They've even got one like he's got his shirt off. He's on holiday. He's got his shirt off. It makes perfect sense. But it looks really breezy on that beach, and everyone sat on there just looks freezing cold.
Oh, it was. As I remember, it was cold, and light was a problem. The wind was a problem. But it was. I think it was really interesting. And you watch the videos and how close people got to everything. But like, there's much better pictures of our set on these YouTube videos. Right. And one thing I remember as well was the sand troopers. Shore troopers had a pistol,
right,
which they hadn't had before.
Right. Okay.
And the shore trooper comes out, people photograph it. The next day, there were 3D files of, hey, I've drawn it. Wow. You can have it free and we'll print it. The cosplayers had it instantly. And that's just, I love that because I'm a fan and it's crazy, but Star Wars hasn't had that sort of thing before, but I actually really liked it. People really got hyped about it and engaged and were like, oh my gosh, this is great. Andor's here. Oh, this is cool. And I sort of love that. And I wish they'd lean into a little bit more of like that engagement a bit more. But yeah, check out YouTube, check out Cleveland's, check out Andor, and you'll see more of the set.
Will do.
There's a lot of extras in that scene as well. Everyone's
yeah.
I will call out one thing I don't like about the scene, and hopefully this won't offend you, Barry, but I do like to call the negatives out. There's a shot of one of these with the K2SO security droids, and there's a guy running away, and he catches him, and you see like the droid's hand like coming from behind the wall, and this guy doing like a comedy, I don't know, like a Bugs Bunny like running in midair, and it doesn't look great. And that's the only bit on that scene. He's like, it's weird.
Well, I didn't write it. I didn't direct it.
I know.
I did.
I know.
There's that one shot, but seeing K2SO back in action, I know it's not K2SO, it's that model of droid, but it's kind of like this is to come next season. We're going to get a lot more of these. We've seen in the trailers already.
Yep. Looks good, that little shot in the trailer, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
But the KX droids, he's like, hang on to this one. Hang. He said, no, I'm a tourist. Yeah, brilliant. And then he just gets locked up. Civil disruption, anti-imperial speech. 6 years. Off you go.
It's good to see they've got pistachio nuts in the Star Wars world.
That I don't know. Can I talk about that courtroom scene?
Yeah.
So
a lot of graphics in that.
Well, so early on, Luke was really keen to get the flag, and I do not know how many like versions of flags, that could have done it. And in the end, he just wanted it really, really simple. And it was actually Luke's plan to still have it in these kind of like bleached sun Naamos colors. And I remember when he said it, I was like, I don't like it. And then because you're so used to, if it's the Empire, it's red and black and white. Do you know what I mean? But having it in that washed out kind of peach, I just thought was great. And it looked really good on camera, and it worked for that set, and it worked for that planet. It was really cool. And he was really specific about, he wanted to kind of halo that lady, the sort of judge person. And I don't think we really did like a shot from the front, but we actually worked the maths out on how tall she would be sitting in the chair and where the cog would sit behind her head, in order to best get the chance of it haloing her. And I don't know if we actually get like the shot he saw in his head.
Yeah, it's kind of next to her in the shot. I've just put
we didn't
of it.
It wasn't down the barrel, so you just don't see it. But that's, we tried. But the little court dockets is a thing. So it's a tough one, because YouTube was looking and going like, what are you playing at? And not that I'm super bothered, but they were a bit of a lastminute.com. They weren't asked for like super early doors, and then props came and said, hey, we've got this idea for this like credit card machine thing, can you knock something up? So I did it real quick, drew those, did the text. Now there is one that exists that says like Keef Gargo, and I can't remember, like incitement to write or something. I like put it all on there, put the sentence, everything from the script is on there.
Yeah, anti-imperial speech, I think, was one of the things you got.
Something like that, yeah. So in the shot where she's doing it, like from the wide, they used the hero one. So when you do stuff, you make props, hand props for set. You put things in a folder and you put on it like, it's for this scene, it's for this day, for this episode. This is how many are in this bag. Whether it's hero, whether it's background, you put this information, and then the standby prop people and the standby art director are aware of it, and they have it on their trolley, so everyone knows what they've got, when it's for, and what's going on. But what I suspect happened here was that they had a spare 5 minutes. They told B camera and a camera assistant to go off and do close-ups of this machine, but no one told props, so they took the court dockets and did not use the right ones.
So what does the one in the shot say then?
There are two in the shot. The first one says it's Keith Seymour, who is my friend and concept artist on Andor season 1 and 2. And the next one says Richard Stevenson, suspected force sensitivity. And Rich is my buddy who you guys met at Dave's event. Yeah. And I just did it as a little nod to him with a view that I was probably going to try and nick one at the end because we'd never see it. You know, I did like, I think I did 3 each of all the background ones just so there was like a pile. And I think the Andor hero one I did maybe 8 just in case. You always have to have, you know, no one will thank you for saving money. You've got to try and get, you know, cover off all your hero props. But that just didn't get used or shot on for the thing. So people are looking at it going, what is that? Have they got it wrong? Like, why is that not the right name? And it's purely because like people can't read Aurebesh and didn't check and just gave it to a camera assistant to do a quick close up on.
Do you know in about 20 years time when people like proper like you got the next generation coming up and they're we want to meet someone who works on Andor and you're going to get that question from the audience. Who's Keef? What did you say his name was? Keith Seymour.
Keith Seymour, yeah. Well, the funny thing is Keith Seymour and Richard Stevenson now have their own Wikipedia pages.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
But like I remember some YouTube people going force sensitivity and like opening up a whole can of worms.
Oh my god.
And it's like, no, it was just never meant to be seen. It was just meant to be in a stack of court dockets. But yeah, that was a thing. And I think those people seemed to quite liked those dockets, which was quite sweet. I don't know if you guys know at celebrations and stuff. There's do you remember there was a girl dressed as Jin giving out Death Star plans?
Yeah.
Well, her dad, Dino Ignacio, we have now met and are friends on Facebook. He is like the mastermind behind all of this stuff. And at the last celebration in the UK, he made the court dockets to give out to prisoners and things.
Oh, awesome.
And he gave me one, which was really sweet. And we had a lovely chat about it. But he made exact replicas. And it boggles my mind whenever I see this stuff, that there's stuff you've knocked up real quick at your desk or made a little prototype of, and the next thing you know, there's swag at a celebration. I will never stop being boggled by that. But he always makes these incredible things, and he made them, and they are exactly screen accurate. They could be on screen, kind of thing, you know.
As I said to you, mate, one day someone's going to have one of your scheme tattoos tattooed on them. It's going to happen.
Oh yeah, the hand one, hopefully not the Nazi ones.
So I thought it was funny. The one thing which Dan has pointed out that he wasn't a massive fan of in the entire Andor thing was written by Stephen Schiff, who was the original showrunner, who was going to write the entire series. So yeah, maybe Dan is glad that it went the way it went. For sure.
What?
Just one effect shot, you know.
Yeah.
Have a whole production. It's just that little that's superb.
And that ended episode 7. Well, actually, in truth, it ended with Cyril in his booth, and then you scan back, and there's just booth, lots of booths. And I was like, it's kind of like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark with the Ark there, where you're like, oh my god, there's loads of them. And yeah, Cyril just locked in, as you said earlier on, his own kind of prison. Funny odd thing, we then segue into episodes 8 through to 10, what we'll refer to as, you know, the Narkina arc, the prison arc, the sentence arc. So let's break those 3 down, and once again, we'll just focus initially on the ISB and Cyril. So, starts off with Cyril doing his job. Then it gets approached by 2 stern-looking Imperials. He then gets taken away and interviewed by Dedra. She's asking him why he's filling out all these false reports, and he has engaged the curiosity of the ISB. Is there anything you'd care to tell me? So, yeah, Dedra's like snooping around, and we don't know it at this stage, but I think maybe this is the beginning of a wonderful relationship, or maybe a one-sided relationship. Who knows? But yeah, the beginning of Cyril's infatuation with Dedra. So let's go there. Let's Cyril and Dedra. What do you think first?
It's a weird one, isn't it? Because there's obviously more that happens towards the end of the show, but yeah, I don't know if he's more infatuated with her or just infatuated with the Empire itself. Maybe she's just a representation of that, where he's, everything that he did in his old job. You had the dude who was his boss. We spoke about him quite a bit in the first season, in the first arc. He kind of like brushed everything off and said, just cover it up. It didn't happen. He wants that imperial touch, I think, is probably the best way to put it. Whether that's Deirdre or otherwise. Deirdre.
Yeah, totally. I get that. I think there's a mutual. I think there's an attraction there to her because it is, what he's after. He wants the discipline. He wants that sense of purpose and this, that, and the other. And yeah, because it goes on. And the reason I say that is, yes, because he's stalking her later on. There's, we've had a few back and forths in this arc with him and his mum. She's really, really busting his balls over various different things, and we've spoken about this before. And they're having their dinner. They're sat down. It might even be breakfast. I think it's breakfast. And she says, "You've changed your hair." And it's like, okay. And I know that the next scene is when he's stalking her. So it's like, you've changed your hair. It's just, I've got young kids, and if they're like out on the pool, do something to their hair. My lad might have a little shave, spray on the Lynx Axe or whatever, and out on the pool. And here he is, and his mum is pointing out, "You changed your hair," and he's like, "You've been in my private box. I've got ways of telling and they're just having a go. She's really laying it on thick, and then he just says, "I've been promoted," and this whole thing is there's been a lot of back and forth between him and Dedra about the report, about Blevin's report, and about pursuing Andor. They're both after Andor, and it turns out, he's had some sort of promotion. So the next thing we see, he's absolutely stalking her like Johnny Stalker, and thank you for what you did and for what you're doing. So that links maybe down to what you said about maybe it's not her, maybe it's about what she's doing. But saying thank you for what you did and what you're doing, following on from our conversation, and then she cuts him off. That wasn't the conversation. That was more questioning, interrogation. And he's absolutely stalking her. She calls him out on it. And then he goes on to talk about, no, I just see it. There's justice and beauty in the galaxy. And he's just coming up with all these like really embarrassing sort of adolescent terms of, is this the first time he's ever been, obsessed with a woman or anything? I don't know. But she comes out with this one line, which I'm not sure. I'm going to share it with you now and then we'll discuss. Because she just says, "I'll have you in a cage on the outer rim." And with that, I raised my glasses thinking, is that prison talk? Is that a euphemism? "I'll have you in a cage on the outer rim." Just, I don't know.
That's just on my chest.
I mean, I didn't think that. That's all you, buddy.
Okay, all right then. Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe I've been in this job too long.
And the utter disgust she manages to portray in her face is just brilliant. It just gets worse as it gets better. Her ability to do it as the show goes on.
She's got a superb resting bitch face. I know it's not politically correct to say that, but she's brilliant at that.
She really is. She's just so stern. Yeah. So okay, we're going to put a pin in Dedra and Cyril, because when we talk about the last arc, I think we'll come back to that. So we'll just put a pin in that for the time being. But whilst we're talking about the baddies, Dedra, she gets Bix, because by this time, Bix has been chased all over the place, and now she's incarcerated, and she's gonna get Bix. The very worst thing you can do right now is bore me, and
this is to your point, Baz. I think when you were saying this is when you think, hold on a minute, I've been rooting for this person.
Yeah. Absolutely, this was it. Because the whole time you are rooting for her, like she's in the ISB, and she's like the underdog. They're not taking her seriously. Partagazi's like, oh, let me take you under my wing. She's trying hard to do her job. When you're like, yeah, go, Dedra. And then it's like, oh my gosh, you're a space Nazi.
Yeah. And it's got that classic shot of the door that,
Yeah,
closing as they saying
so
really
good.
bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
But what a genius idea to have the sound of those creatures were that when they were dying made that choral scream, and that just sends you insane. And they tell the story about how there were some Imperials who got the radio transmission from it and found them huddled in a corner or something, or huddled in a crawl space after hearing it, and now they're using it to torture people. That's pretty sick.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Ghost. Is it Dr. Ghost on that bit?
Yeah.
Dr. Ghost, yeah.
Yeah. And he's brilliant. He's, she sort of says, oh, I'll have to, you're going to be questioned by Dr. Ghost. And he sort of turns around as if to say, hello. And then he goes back to his work and she carries on. And it's just, he's just oblivious to it. He's been so desensitized by the evil that he gives. He just doesn't see it anymore. It's just 9 to 5 to him, isn't it?
He's getting sent all over the galaxy to it, because doesn't he later on he gets sent off to interrogate the X-Wing pilot, or the pilot that they call. And we've said Dr. Ghost, and he's got it out of him really quickly what's going on. Like, Jesus, he's a busy man.
He's definitely got a second passport, and he's got stamps all over that bad boy for sure. Yeah, Dr. Ghost. But Dedra is just so sinister. She's so good. I wrote down, I wonder if she's had some training. I wonder if she's had a couple of conversations with some people, because she was unbelievably good, wasn't she? She was very, very good. But yeah, you're right, Dan. What they wrote, that backstory, that's a couple of paragraphs of backstory there about how they got that horrible sound of children dying. It's just, twisted. I couldn't write that.
Well, what's important for our purposes here today is that the massacre of the Dysonites was broadcast and recorded as proof of mission. They make a sound as they die, a sort of choral, agonised pleading. It's quite unlike anything anyone had ever heard before. There were 3 communications officers monitoring the documentation, and they were found hours later huddled together in various states of emotional distress in a crawl space beneath the ship's bridge. We've taken the recordings and modified them slightly, layering, adjusting, and we've found a section of what we believe are primarily children, which has its own particular effect.
The last thing which I'm going to say about the ISB, and maybe it's because they are meant to be the best of the best, but what we see from them in this arc is they're smart, they're really good, they are quick thinkers, they're baddies, they're really bad, but they're always trying to be one step ahead, and they come onto the stuff you mentioned just now, Dan, about the rebel pilot and about what they were going to do, and actually, do we do this? We'll get Ghost on him, but now what do we do? Is Anto Kreegyr going to smell a rat? What are we going to do with this? And the way they were just sort of quick thinking, putting stuff together, that they just plan, and this is why they've said in the past, I think at the end of the Aldani arc, when it all kicked off, they said this is why we plan, so we can now do stuff. And they came across as very organized, just a very, very organized bunch of baddies, and they weren't discredited. Sometimes you see, the Imperials just making mistakes and being dumb, being stupid, like bringing the Star Destroyers out of hyperspace too late, and all those things, and they're just getting slaughtered by Vader.
Admiral Ozzel. When will you learn?
Exactly. You have failed me for the last time. It's just, you see them working together. Yes, there's bickering at times, but they're actually, towards the end of that, they were working together. And that wasn't lost on me. But yeah, there's the ISB. But loads more stuff going on with Mon Mothma and Perrin and all of her gang. So yeah, Coruscant, all sorts of stuff going on there because she's in trouble. She needs to raise some dosh, doesn't she?
And that's really interesting because I'd like to know more. I like that where did the money come from? Where do they get the ships? What's going on? And Rebels touches on it a little bit, and they're just doing a bit more here, and it's great. I want more. I just want more.
So there's this problem, with money having been moved, and now people making all these checks, and it's like, okay, a little bit of corruption amongst the senators. Where have we seen that before? But yeah, what are we going to do about this? And then needing to figure it out. So a little bit more back and forth, with Luthen, with Mon. There's plenty of stuff going on in Ferrix. Marva's unwell, so they're setting this whole thing up about Marva not being happy, and Marva just starting to prepare herself maybe, and appreciating that she's just going to die there. And then more stuff in Luthen with Clea on the radio, and stuff back and forth with Luthen, and they're not snapping at each other. But as I said, Clea's paranoid. She wants to shut down the Ferrix connection, and Luthen regrets getting Andor on the Fondor, etc. He says, "I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long." And she just says, "I just need you to wake up. There's a lot to do. Shut down that radio." And this is when Bix is trying to use the radio to get hold of Andor to say that your mum's ill, or to get hold of Luthen to see if you can get hold of Andor. There's all sorts of stuff going on. There's plenty of things happening between those.
I think on the just going back to the Mon Mothma stuff, there's the scene in the Senate that I think is quite. I mean, the episode, I think the second or third, were we on the second episode of that Narkina arc, or the third episode we're talking about. No one's listening, and there's some stuff around Narkina 5 coming up, but there's also she's giving a talk in the Senate, and all the senator pods are getting switched off where they're not listening, and so that there's a double meaning to that title. Push that out there.
No,
you're
like absolutely right. Yeah, that's nice, mate.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that.
And I don't know how that. So obviously that I think that the Narkina stuff is kind of like a microcosm of a rebellion, and that's obviously that no one's listening. That's part of the how do you make people listen? I suppose that's the the whole point of the rebellion. How do we stir stuff up and get people to pay attention to what's going on?
That's great, Dan. Yeah, nobody's listening isn't just what Andor shouts. You're right, because she is talking to people in the Senate, and they're just shutting down their booths, and you can hear it, can't you? And see it, And then, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, like, the difference in the Senate was quite interesting. There was actually quite a lot of discussions. I remember talking to Luke quite a lot about it, because obviously that's visual effects. We didn't build the entire Senate, and there was discussion about what that should look like. And I remember having a discussion with them saying, well, look, the last time we see it, the Emperor and Yoda are absolutely going at it and destroying it and blowing it up. So that's why they kind of felt a little bit of like carte blanche to be like, right, well, let's just say it got rebuilt, which is why the cog is on the floor. If you look, the Imperial cog is now the floor of the Senate.
Right. I did see the only Imperial cogs I think I remember seeing were actually on the pods as well. They've got Imperial
they're on the pods, exactly right.
I saw those.
But the actual floor of the Senate is now a cog.
Okay.
I'll
have to look out for that then next time I watch it. I didn't know it before.
But there was putting it on the we call them the tacos. Putting it on the taco was a discussion as well. Like Luke really flip-flopped on whether to do it or not. I do remember that being a thing, but went for it, and I think it looks good. And it's the Empire's taking over, the symbol's taking over.
the other point that she says that stands out to me, she says about it being a temple. This is a temple for democracy, or a temple for, I think she says democracy.
Yeah.
And obviously the Jedi temple got destroyed, and at some point in the near future, the Senate's going to get effectively destroyed or disbanded, or however you want to describe it. So it is that, the Emperor tearing down, the what's the best word to describe it? The fabric of that civilization. He's taking the Jedi away, and now he's going to take the Senate away, and her calling it a temple, I thought was quite fitting.
Also, just going back to that nobody's listening theme, you've got that gorgeous shot which pans up with Biggs when she's on the trying to get the communication going. It pans up from the tower, and you see that sort of span out from there, and that's pretty good.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a triple whammy on nobody's listening. Nice.
Nobody's listening. Nobody's listening.
See that cog now. You're right. I didn't realise. Is it made up by the lights, Barry, on the bottom of there on the floor?
Bit of texture, bit of lights.
Yeah.
For listeners at home, I've posted a picture in the chat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can see that was a discussion that was had. Because, like we've talked about before, the devil's in the detail. And yes, you could just go, right, well, I'm just going to make it look exactly how it looked. But time has passed. There was a fight in there. Things did get destroyed. The Emperor is putting his stamp over everything and whitewashing the past type vibes.
And it is his stamp. It's almost like he's got a stamp and put it on the Senate and gone, right, this is mine now. That's brilliant. I didn't notice that when I watched it, but it's a really subtle change from when you see it and you go, I recognise all of that, but that's such a subtle thing. That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? I love that little thing. Honestly, we said it before, but like you've got TJ Falls, you've got Mo and I can never remember Mo and Liam. Just so good. Like their team, the vis effects, it's so good. We take it for granted that all movies and TV shows have it, and we're just like, oh yeah, it just happened. But there's like teams of people doing incredible work that people take for granted. Yeah. And we shouldn't, because it's brilliant. Not everything is as beautiful as the Eye of Aldani, but everything is as important, just like that Senate room.
Yeah, the thought behind it is brilliant.
Yeah,
it's great to see that, and that's what I mean. I think this show, more than most of the other stuff that Disney have put out, this is something you can keep going back to and watching over and over again and seeing something new, just like the original trilogy. I still see new stuff in this now, and I imagine, I'll be messaging you, Barry, in 6 months going, I've just seen this. Did I see what I think I've just seen? And you're like, yeah.
Well, funnily enough, I've had messages today. I think I mentioned to you guys before, there's a fellow called Christian who's messaging me every time he sees the funerary stones built into the walls.
He found another one.
Yeah, he's found another. He's like, oh my gosh, I didn't see it. And he sent me the pic.
Brilliant.
And for the benefit of our listeners also, I need to publicly apologise to Peter, because when I admonished him earlier on for not checking the messages about the question, it's been pointed out to me that Peter wasn't actually in that message group because he wasn't in the first two or the first two ARC chats. So apologies, Peter, that you missed the message or any opportunity to see that message.
No problem. It explains my utterly shit answer. And I couldn't believe you guys were just talking about it. I was like, what's going on here?
And due to the PORD, I will give myself 6 years in Narkina 5. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. Cool. So it's great observations. I love that image, and the Imperial emblem at the bottom. That is awesome. A couple of things that we've just missed out before we move on over to Narkina 5 is Segra Milo, where Luthen went to see Forrest Whitaker, where Luthen went to see
Saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
And my favourite 2 tubes.
Yeah. Which 2 tubes? There are two tubes Yeah, which
I can't remember what his brother's called. There's one, I forget his brother's name, but yeah, one of them is called Two Tubes, and the other's got another name, and I can't remember for the life of me what it is.
Okay. I'm going to get my book out because I've got my Pablo book here, which is pretty awesome, and it's been thumbed a lot by me. Yeah, it's very nice.
Why hasn't Two Tubes got a vintage collection figure? I know he's got like a 3 3/4 inch, but he is my favourite figure out of Rogue One. Out of all those aliens, I'd love to get one of them.
Good figure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's brilliant design.
Sure, the guy called Tim did that. One of Lee's mates. I'm sure it's Tim's baby. That one.
That might be something to do with his name, because I'm sure it's Tibbs or Tim's. Well, Jez will tell us in a second when he finds it. See if I can beat him on Wikipedia.
So, Benthic Two Tubes and Edrio Two Tubes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Benthic Two Tubes has got the long sort of trench coat, just down to his shins, and Edrio Two Tubes is it's got another cool tunic halfway down his thigh. So yeah.
Okay, I was completely wrong on the name, but there you
go. they are awesome, aren't they? They are very, very, very good partisans. But yeah, so he goes off there, and this is where quite clearly you've got two top draw actors going against each other, and it's great. And I love it when you've got Saul Guerrera just saying somebody's sitting on some dosh. And they're both acknowledging the fact that a rebel, rebels have done the old Darnie thing, but they've got this whole back and forth about how they're not saying who it was. Saul Guerrera's convinced it was Luthen, or Luthen knows something about it, and they just can't agree. So they just say, let's agree it was a masterpiece. Yeah.
And I've just got to say, I feel bad. Because Anto Kreegyr gets mentioned about 97 times, right? And when Andy Serkis appears as Kino Loy, they were like, well, if they got Andy Serkis to be Kino Loy, I remember the chats on Reddit and like the Discords or whatever, all like, who on earth are they going to get to be Anto Kreegyr? It's going to be massive, because look how much he's talked about, and that speech with Luthen and Saul Guerrera. Oh, there must be a whole episode on Anto Kreegyr, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people are going to be so disappointed.
Have they made any comic books of him yet? I imagine they'll do something like that at some point in the future.
No, I'd
cameo in something, or
that's the dream. And like, Andor hasn't had a comic adaptation yet. Ahsoka has.
Okay.
I think Obi-Wan has, the Obi-Wan show. So hopefully it will get it, and I'll just buy every copy.
I really hope. I mean, I know we're going off topic a little bit, but the Andor related action figures have been really thin on the ground, especially like with vintage collection. I know there's been a few, but they haven't gone really deep into it. And they did so many for Rogue One. And I actually bought the weekend the Director Krennic. I saw it in game. I think I sent a little photo on our chat. I haven't bought a vintage collection figure in ages. It was £9. I thought, I can't not get this. And it's brilliant. They need to do some more Andor vintage collection and bring some of these characters in.
I hope so. Well, let's see. Like, maybe, Celebration or have some drops, because season 2, I think we've just got Andor 6-inch Andor pilot.
Yes.
Which looks cool, and like a Krennic redo.
Yes.
So let's hope.
Hopefully a retro box, 6 of them.
Yes.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Anto Kreegyr on there as well.
Oh, can you
imagine? Absolute, isn't it? A hologram one that you can light up, one of those crappy, what they called the holocron figures they brought out. You could be one of them.
Honestly, I
won't
lie to you. I saw those come out. My first thought was, so you're telling me there's a chance?
Yeah.
Because I want an action figure so bad. I'm not going to lie about it or play it cool or pretend. I want there to be a Anto Kreegyr action figure. I don't care how it happens. I'll take a Lego figure. I don't care. But when I saw that, but I'm also not stupid enough to think it's actually going to happen. But then when I saw those hologram figures, I was like, wow, he only appears as a hologram. There's a chance. Honestly.
If they announce that in Japan as a celebration exclusive, mate, you're going to be gutted you didn't go. You're going to be like, see your boy, right, you're staying here. I'm getting on a plane to Japan.
Yeah.
I'll bring you one back. No, I'll bring you one back. Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, oh my goodness, there's so much to talk about. We haven't even got to Narkina 5 yet.
We're 2 hours in.
Loads going on. But I mean, yes. So you've got your whole Mon Mothma business. You've got Bix post-interrogation, and the way Dedra was just awful with her, even pre and post interrogation. The Mon Mothma thing with, I think it's Davos Golden, the Chandrillan sort of oligarch, who she's got together with, in that whole thing about, no, I can help you. I don't need anything. And she's like, well, I'd feel far more comfortable paying you for your role. And his line, a drop of discomfort may be the price of doing business. Her response, come on, let's have it. And she's, the look of sort of horror, disgust on her face and everything like that, I think wonderfully acted. No surprises there. We've spoken about the wonderful acting for the last 4 shows, but I do like it when he walks off saying there's a lot to think about, and she says, I'm not thinking about it, and then he just turns around and says, that's the first untrue thing you said. It's just
so good.
Yeah, really.
And I'm guessing in season 2 we're going to see the outcome of all of that, because they keep talking about the Chandrillan way. I'm guessing it's betrothal and arranged marriages and stuff like that, and the old ways. And I'm guessing that's when we see some of the stuff in the trailer where they're at like a wedding reception or at some kind of celebration, and it's just giving a daughter away for the rebellion.
For the greater good.
The greater good.
But then there was the whole thing. Everyone knows about, the Lonnie and the Luthen meetup, and we'll come on to that. But it's the scene beforehand, which, again, sometimes first time watching, second time you might lose these things. But on Coruscant, Claire's like just concerned. She's like, there was a mark on the fountain, and his response is, well, it could be anything. She's like, that's what I thought. So I went to check the stairs, and the rail was gone. Clean break, fresh. He wants a meeting face to face. And it's just like, well, what's all this about? Who are you now talking about? So there's someone else with secret signs, just like we've had on the ground. Like, with Vel meeting up with Claire. Now there is more secret signs. So now the fact that there's a mark on the fountain, well, as soon as she said there's a mark on the fountain, that's what I thought. So I went to the stairs and the rail was gone. And then they say he wants a meeting. So each of these intricate people, each of these connections, each of these Axis network fellows, have they all got their own meeting and communication place? Because that's what it seems like when you look at that scene again, that it's layered that deep. So much thought has gone into this. And that is why people love this so much more than all of the other Disney TVs, just because of that level of detail. So who are we thinking about? Who is it? And that's when you see Lonnie Young walking along, getting into a lift, reaching up, finding some sort of little Bluetooth headset, secret comms, putting it in his ear, and that's when you hear Luthen saying, if this is a trap, press the buttons for 215. And then he goes on to congratulate him on his healthy and beautiful daughter. I think, whoa, how sinister is that straight away? But what did you think?
Can I do a quick making it about me thing?
Oh, please.
Have I banged on about that lift panel before? Keep banging on about it, but it was one of my favourite panels I did. And I gave it a lot of thought, and it was, how do you convey like 400 floors on a lift? And I remember using the example of, it's not the great glass Wonkavator. There's not buttons everywhere. So the idea is you've got 3 lines, one for the hundreds, one for the tens, one for the singles, So you could like press your floor, press the button, and it takes you off. And then did the little animation, which then Blind did after I'd sort of said, this is what I want, where when it's going down, the graphic goes up to give you that sense that you're moving the correct way in the lift.
Right.
So it's quite a design thing where you have to have the so layers of plastic. The way you design the panels, you have the layers of plastic, and then it's got to all fit together like a jigsaw. But there's actually quite a lot of detail around all those screens. I don't think you really catch it, but that was quite a number to get that right, and then to get the iPhones behind that panel so they all work and it all happens at the right time, and but it is quite a thing. And I just loved it. I was really proud of that lift panel. And then the day they come to shoot it, I get a phone call from set, and I don't get too many phone calls from set on Star Wars. And they were like, "You've got to come to set immediately. There's a problem with the lift panel." I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I rush over there, and what they actually meant was that the actors wanted me to show them how to use it. And I'm like, "Well, it's not real. Like it's not." It's just, and they're like, "No, we don't understand how to use it." Like, okay. And I think we'd agreed on so it could be animated. We'd agreed on the floor number. So I was like, what is it, 327 or whatever? So it was like, right, you go 327, and then you press that button, and then the lift goes. And there's a technician just off camera with a mouse, like a Bluetooth mouse, ready to rumble. Like when he presses the button, he presses it, and the animation happens. And they were like, all right, so you go this, and I was like, yeah, this is for this. Explain it all to them, and they were like, oh great. And it goes back to what I said before about you're building this world to help the actors feel like they are there.
Yeah.
And just with that one little lift panel and the way it works differently to like our lifts and it was just that tiny little reminder for me that that's why we're doing what we're doing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I just really like that lift panel. I just really do.
It's brilliant.
Do you ever get home from work and think, oh, I fancy having one of them, and go out of the garage and make one? So you just got one.
Would that I could. So I've got to give a shout out, as the kids say, to the panel team, which was led by Holly and Alex. There's a bunch of guys, and so we basically design it up and do these breakout drawings where we functionally break the whole drawing out so it can be cut as a jigsaw out of plastic or metal, and that so what buttons we want, what LEDs we want, and you can say I want it to flash this. Often you just let the Sparks do it because they're good at it and they know what they're doing. And then like, will the phone fit here? And I need a catch for this, and it's got to be held. And how much space do I have behind the set? Can I run power? And all this sort of stuff. But we send it all off, and the panels team send it off to get it all cut from Laser Joe, and for that is his name. And when it comes back, they actually build it and put it all together. They're really talented model makers, but the panels team are building our panels and actually install them on set as well. They can come and cut really scary holes in beautifully done sets to then ram our panels in, and then the Sparks come and spark it all up and get it all going, you know. But yeah, there's a dedicated team as part of the model makers and all they do is build and make our panels, because there's just so many doors and spaceships and bits and bobs, and they do a great job.
You watch it, you know. No complaints about the panels, Barry.
No, thank you. The panels are on point. But yeah, I'd hate for people to think that I make them. I don't. I draw them, design them, design it in such a way that it's like a plastic jigsaw puzzle, and then they are built and put together by the panels team.
Right, okay.
If this is a trap, press the buttons for 215. We'll have privacy. We're running express. First of all, congratulations.
On what?
Your daughter, healthy, beautiful. You must be pleased.
Is that meant to scare me?
Well, it's been a year since we've had a chance to catch up. You've become a father. It's not worth mentioning.
It's not fair. You knowing, watching me. Do you ever think how it might feel from my side?
I think about you constantly.
The whole Lonnie and Luthen monologue and conversation.
Oh, it's just the best. I watched it again today. It's just, you know, he's he just wants out, doesn't he? You know, Lonnie, he's kind of like, he says to me, he bought me a basket full of goodies, and you think that's it. And it's kind of like, no, mate, you're in it and you're not going anywhere. We need heroes, I think is how he terms it. And he's like, what do you want me to sacrifice? And then he kind of, what have you sacrificed? And it just goes into this fantastic, you know, for 60 seconds of dialogue that's kind of some of the best you've ever heard in Star Wars. It's just fantastic. And I love the way that he's kind of like when the lift doors open and he's in those shadows and he, you know, again, Jedi hints, he's got that cape on and it's just blowing in the breeze and it's just like, oh man, this is epic. And there's not even any action in it, but it's just superb.
It's one of my favourite shots in the whole series. And then that monologue, it's one of my favourite scenes in the whole series. It's so good.
There's nothing bad to say about it. It's just, just perfection.
Shot in some tunnels of some water treatment place over in Essex, I think.
Okay. Bit random.
Have we seen Lonnie in the trailers, the new for season 2?
Not that I've noticed. Is he on the IMDb for it? I'll have to go and have a look.
Must be in it, surely.
Yeah, I don't know what else you want us to say, Jez. It's fantastic.
You know what? That's absolutely fine. It's one of those things. I love it, but just shows how much in control Luthen is straight away before he's even said anything. It's like, right, why is Lonnie coming here? Why is Lonnie wanting this thing? The fact that Claire says he's breaking the rail, clean break. Well, as in, does he want a clean break away from what he's doing? Which turns out that's what he wanted. He asked for a clean break, didn't he? So there's parallels with that. But before he even has the chance to say what he wants to say, Luthen's like, congratulations on being a father. Lovely, healthy daughter. You know, and what sort of sinister, almost, sinister, passive-aggressive comment is that about, I know about you. And then he goes on to say, I think about you constantly. And he reminds Lonnie that, we took a vow 6 years ago. So he's been doing this job for 6 years. He's been getting him, into the ISB and along. He's been giving him tidbits and sacrificing Anto Kreegyr, all these things. And he wants to leave. And the last thing he says is, stay with me, Lonnie. I need all the heroes I can get. Just walks away. It's just power, isn't it? He's really, really... He's that dark hero that you need. He's that sort of dodgy operative who we don't like to talk about, but we need. A few good men. You want me on that wall. That's what this guy is. What a character. Fellas, wow, look at the time. We've not even spoken yet, really, about Andor on this Andor podcast. So, Narkina 5. I'm going to ask you this question now. People say about, watching Raiders of the Lost Ark, if Indiana Jones didn't do what he did through any of this, actually it wouldn't have made a difference because the Nazis would have still got the Ark without Indiana Jones at every stage, and then they would have all died at the end anyway. Is Narkina 5 important for Andor's story? What I'll do now, I'll say we had the recruitment, then you had the Aldani heist, and then is Narkina 5 is it just an inconvenience to Andor before he gets back to the rebellion? What is the importance here?
I mean, Kino Loy.
Right.
I think it's another example of Andor being about the people around him. And I know we're jumping right to the end of this bit, but he's learning to work with others. He's learning to work as a team, and there's that's a very blatant thing. But at the end, when he gives the speech, Kino Loy gives a speech, they're both there. They're both in the control room. They're both at the microphone. But Andor, who's our hero, so normally he's the guy that's going to do the speeching, is like, no, this isn't for me. This is you.
Yeah.
And he's learning from Kino Loy. He's learning from the people around him. He's becoming, the rebel we need.
Yes.
I think as well, the injustice that he's suffered, and regardless of what he's done in terms of robbing Aldani, he's made his getaway. So he says to Marv in the previous episode, I've got the loot, we can go anywhere, we can go, you can live on the beach, which is what he tries to do. He's got himself a girlfriend, he's got all the cash, he goes out for the morning stroll to get the newspaper, and next thing you know, he's in a prison for 6 years for doing absolutely nothing. So I think it's part of it's a realization for him is that there's no escaping the Empire. He's got to face this. I think that once he's out as well, that's part of the arc as well. Big part. So yeah, it's to answer your question, Jess. it is. I think it's the core of the show. These 3 episodes. Yeah, you've got nothing without these really. He's if it wouldn't have been, if he'd have just done the robbery and then all of a sudden been a rebel, I just don't think that would have been enough. This just tips over the edge and realise actually, he is a badass and he has got the potential to become, the character that we see in Rogue One.
Gentlemen, I agree.
So we're seeing how bad the Empire is as well.
Yeah, we're seeing them at their worst, or they haven't even started yet. But yeah, we are seeing how bad the Empire is. But sometimes you just think things happen for a reason, and I rationalize things to myself sometimes if things go off the rails. In my own life, I'm like, well, these things happen for a reason. We'll figure it out. But I think it's this Narkina 5 where Andor learns the most, because in Aldani he said that teams break in the weakest point, right? He's never been interested in teams. He then was a mercenary in a team, so he's just paid to go along and do it, and got caught along in the whole sort of Venturi of it, and that was that. And then this time he was forced into a team and slowly becoming the player, the leader, the follower, because followership is 80% of leadership anyway. That's people are taught in the military and everything, and he goes to exactly what you said about at the end when he was like, no, Kino, you do this because it's your moment. People, you are the day shift manager. People will listen to you. But his journey is moving away from someone who's stayed away from teams to being forced into teams. But he's learned from Luther and he's learned from Nemec, about all of this. But what I noticed at the beginning when he was introduced into the team and they did a quick name introduction, and then someone's like, oh yeah, you new guy or whatever. And Melchi then says his name is Keef. So Melchi's kind of standing up for him and saying his name is Keef. And then later, when Olaf is dying, when he's had his stroke, and the doctor's calling him old fella, then Andor's like, his name is Olaf, and he's learning from everyone around him. He's like a sponge, and it's making him that rebel intelligence officer who we get to see. He is absorbing everything all around him, and he's having all these times of silence in his room just to think. There's been a few times in this arc where you just see the camera is just on him as he's waking in his pit or as he's going to sleep in his pit, and he's just having time to think. And I think this is hugely important for him.
You make the good point about Melchi as well. Like he meets Melchi.
Yeah. Yeah, Melchi's
who is relevant later.
Yeah, and he's a bit of a rebel, isn't he? He says what he thinks, and there's always a little bit of angst between him and Kino.
Don't ever look at the number. Double, triple, it doesn't matter.
Hey!
You're in till they don't want you anymore.
Enough!
Get straight with that.
Melchi!
Anyone who thinks they're getting it now is dreaming. Those days are over.
I said that's enough.
Return to your cells immediately. 30 seconds on red floor.
Yeah, the whole Narkina 5 set then, fellas, because when we saw the trailer, when we saw everything going on, we've had various different sets, various different things from Ferrix to Aldani, the ISP. But what about this? What about the whole concept of Narkina?
I'm sure Barry's got loads to say, but it's another. Much like what was the name? What kind of Bix getting tortured by those headphones? This is another twisted concept of a prison where there's effectively no guards, and it's just all about paranoia. And then when you kind of look into it, This is a real concept in the real world that they there was prisons, concepts of prisons like this built around the world where there's very little guards and you're just the I suppose the paranoia and the threat of surveillance just forces discipline. It's a great concept, and it's just brilliantly realized in these episodes. Is that, I mean, Barry, I'm guessing you got tons to say about this. You're obviously involved on the set. You spoke about it on the first episode, but was that much of the, do you know how much of that played a part into the design of it and the thought process that went into it?
Yeah, as I understand it, this came about with Luke and Tony just spitballing and the other guys, like very early on. Early on, Luke went to New York and just hung out with them, and they were sitting around just spitballing and just working stuff out. And what are we going to need? And if this is going to happen in the story, we're going to need this, and we're going to need this, and and like it's not quite a napkin drawing, but it's function that sort of thing. And the idea of as I understand it from those meetings, and I think Tony and Luke are both sort of like, we don't know who came up with what. It was just like a creative process, we're saying this, how about this, but the sort of shape of that prison came out of that, like really early on. And the notion of the floors and the 7 tables on each floor and the whole setup and everything came out of that really early, and the electrocuting floors and all of that was really, really early.
It just really goes to how little the Empire value life. They could easily build a factory that does all of this, but it's probably cheaper to get these guys in, feed them a load of glunk every night and let them have a sleep than it is to buy a bunch of droids to build these things. They've got stitching these fellas up who are just walking down the street, and it's just a brilliant concept. It's just fantastic.
But that set was massive.
Yeah.
Like when you were in there, in the big set, the floor, the factory floor, so to speak, it was massive. That one table was functional and practical, and it was Tim Wildgoose and his team worked out how to do that. And all the tools coming down off of the top there, spun and did and had compressed air coming out to do this and do that and make it work. And it was great because of it. And it's another example of, you might not see that, you might not as a viewer care, but the actors are doing it and getting involved and feeling like they are there.
Got the pieces and the ratchets, and they're turning the screws and pulling all those pieces together.
Yeah.
And were those pieces were they made of foam, or were they actually made of metal, and were they as heavy as they looked when they were putting them together?
They weren't as heavy, no.
Right, okay.
Some bits were foam, some bits were plastic, some bits were metals. It was a conglomeration of crazy stuff. There was a bunch of fake ones all made up to go on the carts.
Yes.
So they're just blocks so you could wheel the carts around. But Luke was insistent. I remember him being so insistent from the early doors that had to be the case, that it had to work. They had to do that.
Comes out, it definitely shows when you're watching it.
Yeah, it's really it's so good. It's so good. And it was a bit of a secret at the time. I remember that they were Death Star parts. It was like not everyone in the production knew that they were Death Star parts, which was cool.
And that makes you wonder as well how sick and twisted the Empire, because they would have probably carried this on to build a second Death Star as well. So there's probably even more prisons like this.
It's I'm trying to think what's relevant to you guys. I mean, a lot of extras.
We know some of them. We know some.
Oh, do you? Oh, that's fun.
Smart Cockley went there. He was on set. He was in. I don't think he was on screen, but he was there.
Yeah, I wonder if he was there when I fell down the lift. But it was an impressive set. I think it's the best arc. Just the Narkina stuff is the best stuff. The crazy boots and the guns and the little consoles and like you say, just keeping people locked up with hardly any guards. Those like the tunnel, we only built like the one tunnel, and then they shot it from loads of different angles and distances to then be able to stitch it all together, and then obviously draw up the fake ones and the VFX. But those VFX shots look fantastic, I think, of the prison.
Really do.
I think it's really reminiscent of like I think I said it maybe on the first episode with the like on Camino with the clones when Obi-Wan's touring around. It's got that vibe of that sterile, just lots of there's a lot of people in that building and they're all regimented. And I had a couple of questions on it. One was with the uniforms, they've obviously got different patterns or different designations on them. I think Kino's, because he's the floor manager, he's got a different different costume to the rest of them. Did you have anything to do with the markings on those costumes?
No. The closest graphics got to helping with that. I think I was in this one. So we're sitting in the office, and I think it was Kate, the costume supervisor, slinks into our room and just goes, "I'm looking for a man." And looked around us all disappointedly when she saw me and Dom, but her eyes settled on Matt Hindle, who is like a handsome chap, 6'2", sort of, what would he have been then, probably about 27, 28. She was like, "I need you." And she took him off the costume, and Matt was the model, and they needed a fella his sort of size and stature, and dressed him up in different costumes to see how they'd work and how they'd fit.
Right.
So Matt had to do like a whole like catwalk session in different ideas that they were having for the costume department.
So were these the actual were these the concepts of the costumes then, rather than the actual finished different?
Yeah, I think it was.
Right.
Yeah, I think there might have been a couple of variations or whatever, but yeah. So Matt then got to wear it first. He was like the first guy that wore it, I think. So that's as close as we got. That was all Michael's team and those guys, smashing that out. And I love how the fans have embraced that.
Yes.
And at Celebration, Michael's very good at, people and that sort of stuff, but he just played it perfectly. I don't know if you guys were there for the Andor talk, but when Michael they said, "Oh, we're just going to the costumes on a Michael," and then a bunch of the prisoners were like, "One way out," and then Michael just like played into it.
I think I've seen the footage.
Oh,
yeah.
goodness. Oh, and then they were standing up, and he's like, "Oh," he just worked that crowd brilliantly. He's very good like that. I like him a lot, and I love how people have embraced it. And I can't say to you that anyone was thinking that at the time. Like, this is going to be the thing from this show that people love the most. But
that's a good thing, right? Who'd have thought that the ice cream man running with the ice cream machine in Empire Strikes Back would be a thing at Celebration? But yeah, it was something that a group of people can do when the old spontaneous run through Celebration is pretty good.
Yeah, like are the Wilrow Hood guys and the One Way Out
That's
guys
the ones,
to schedule runs, like, because they don't want to run into each other, or do they do a joint run? I don't know how it works.
Oh, they could fight. We could just have that'd be brilliant. A big brawl with.
Yeah, but I do love that something from the show has taken on a life outside of the show like that, and I think that's really good. And I know Michael loves it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. The other question I had was just around numbers. So we had obviously the countdowns on how many days they've got left, and I think there's a couple of shots where you actually see the numbers. And I was kind of like, well, I know we saw numbers in A New Hope. I think when obviously when the Death Star's counting down, and then I think they changed it for when Ben was turning off the tractor beam. But have we seen numbers in Star Wars since then, or was there any discussion around whether you should include the numbers or not? Because I can't think of one instance of it other than in the original Star Wars.
Yeah, 77 had it originally as English type characters, and then bits got changed and this and that. Prequels, would the prequels have had any numbers? There's probably numbers on screen. Yeah, there's numbers on screens, but just in fonts that people might not recognize are numbers.
So is that like Star Wars basic then, in terms of Urabesh, that you've got numbers that we'd recognize
Well, with that,
I'm guessing
one,
obviously that's the case. I haven't seen. I can't think of seeing numbers before. It was just it blew my mind a bit.
yeah. Well, it was deliberate.
Yeah.
So that font was a deliberate choice. So I offered up a few, but specifically why I went with that one, because the computer stuff was actually done afterwards. I don't know if anyone's really going to notice, but like the lockers specifically and the ones on the lift doors, I was actually playing with the idea of negative space. So if you look at like the lift doors and the locker rooms and everything, the lift door's plastic, the locker one's metal, and actually they're cell door numbers as well.
Right.
The only bits that you see are the negative space. The numbers are actually cut out.
Yes.
And what I was finding when I was just doing pages of different things and what it could look like, is that my eye was drawn to those negative spaces. So when you did say like 34, when you had it as a block of plastic with just a negative space, you sometimes didn't actually see 34. You just saw like a pattern.
Yeah.
You saw the negative space. And there's no sort of high-minded reason behind that. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Like rule of cool. And so I just ran with it and was like, right, I think we can do these for the doors. I think I can do this for the big door. I can do this for the computer screens. I can do this for the locker rooms. There's actually every cell does have a little number and it's shift. Just you don't really see them that much. You see them sort of when Andy Serkis smashes the guy up against the wall, but they are there, and it was it's all done correctly, like in the line, and then the day shift and the night shift, and we swapped them over when we needed to. But I don't think people will catch it, but we did it. And then when we cut to different floors, like when the water's dripping down, you cut to different floors, the signage was all changed. Because that's actually the only difference. That's how you knew you were on a different floor. Unless you knew the people. They didn't really focus on it, but we thought they were going to focus on it. So I had sets cut for every single floor I think we were going to see. Sat down and went, right, what are we going to see? This floor, that shift, day shift, night shift, which room, da-da-da-da. So we could change it out for each scene. But we never reach him.
I will rewatch and look for all of it. Barry.
Please do. The grey plastic. But as for reason, yes, we've seen numbers, and if I'd just done weird little symbols, I don't think people would have known what we were doing.
I just wondered if there was any discussion around whether or not you did it or not. I mean, I just
it was cool. At this point, it was like people. There's just a level of trust by that point, Like, people know I'm not trying to do anything bonkers. Like, I'm not trying to sneak Leia, Luke, and Han Yub into, like, a prison number. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one is expecting that. And if you're saying, I think this for this reason, people are like, cool.
Yeah. Excellent.
But those numbers were a thing. I think I've said to you, chapter 4, we had to ask the script editors, because it's not really sort of in our power, that each prisoner, how long are they in for?
I remember you saying you've got to make sure that everything's synced up with the days.
Exactly. Yeah. And then so every scene, we had to look at every scene, how much time has passed between this, so that we know that many numbers has been reduced, and then you got to tell the guys animating it, right, we're going to need this and we need this on this day, and that was a right old palaver.
So here's a question for you then. Do you know how many days that Andor was in prison for then?
No, I don't. It's all blurred into one. That was such a long time ago. That was 4 years ago.
I'm gonna have to figure it out now.
They show it. So he's when he's in there for his first day, and he goes to bed, and then you see it, and then the next one it's 30 days later. And
so what is it at the end when he gets out then? Do you know?
Oh, I can't remember. It was 6 years, wasn't it? So he had 6 years, but
he never did 6 years, though, did he?
No. Oh, are you saying how many years? How long?
So that from when he enters the prison to when he escapes, what's the duration of time? I wonder.
I probably could look at an email and find that out, but I probably shouldn't.
Be on Wikipedia.
I'm sure
there's so many things about it. Sorry, mate.
Someone on Reddit will have done that for us.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. It's out there. We can find out.
I'm typing it now.
Away.
I know, I can hear it.
He was sentenced to 6 years. How long did he do? Come on, Reddit. Don't let me down. They're saying 34 days. I'm sure he was in longer than 34 days. You didn't pick up that the number count wasn't reliable. How dare you, Zed? How dare you, sir?
Right, let's move on.
You may start. That was level 1 of 3. Our floors are tungstoid steel. Do your time productively, keep to your lane, and this needn't be more than a memory. Good luck to you. Up!
See, this whole focus now, what was going on in the prison, I think people probably know the most about. It's stuck in so many people's mind with, one way out and that whole thing, how it all worked. I just thought it was ingenious, the whole plan, as you said, 7 levels, 7 rooms per 11, 7 tables per room, 49 people in each room, day shift, night shift, 4,802 people plus managers and baddies in there. So yeah, a lot of people. But that whole floor, hot floor, 30 seconds to red floor, it's just scary, isn't it? But really, really well constructed. There's an awful connection that I got, which as I saw everyone get up, this is the sort of nasty, sinister imperial side of it. And I've mentioned World War II a couple of times actually tonight, but when they all get up in the morning and they go off to their showers, but it comes down like a gas chamber. It's a really horrible connection, but they're all dragged in there, they're all in there together, they all think they're going in for a shower, and they are having a sort of cleansing gassy shower thing. And I just saw that connection with this horrible, brutal regime. And I wonder how many people see that. But I wonder if that was intentional. As you said, everything happens for a reason, doesn't it? But I absolutely saw that when I saw that image.
It's mad, isn't it? When you watch when you think of Star Wars and all the bits that happen off screen, when you get when the way that the New Hope opens up, and it's kind of like the rebels attack their first successful attack, and it goes into all of that, and it talks about the Emperor's sinister agents and all this kind of stuff, and you there's so many lines drops, and it leads you to think of so many things, like when Obi-Wan talks about the Clone Wars to Luke, and you're like, oh, the Clone Wars. But I think of Narkina 5, that someone went to the Emperor with that design and said, look, we're going to build this prison, and this is the concept, and he's just sitting there and he's like, this is fantastic, build as many of them as you can, we'll fill it full of people. It's just, and and that Aldani robbery, obviously they jacked up everyone's sentences off the back of that. It was the perfect excuse just to drag in more people, and it's just you've got Luthen and the Emperor almost both pulling at both ends, doing he wants to build, the Emperor wants to build the Death Star, and Luthen wants to stir up the Emperor, the rebellion. It's just you can go down all sorts of tracks with it. That's the directions my mind goes in with it. I just think about what's happening in the at the top level, what's going on.
But it's an Imperial concentration camp, isn't it? That's what I'm getting at. They're all dressed in this garb. They can only do so many things. They're being treated pretty brutally. Not brutal, in the sense of Nazi concentration camps, but it's that whole thing, isn't it? Of you're just working for us. You're just working, and we are giving you the bare minimum. It is really nasty. It does give you that real sort of sinister balance to it, but everything else going on in that whole complex, with the floors, with the way in which the rooms, your little pit, you have, this is your food, and if we do well, you get taste. I mean, wow, that's brilliant. This is your plate, put it against the wall, and the wall cleans it, and it's just, I love that imagination.
There was actually a part of that set that we never saw.
Right.
So, when they do the breakout, they look through a window and the guards are all hunched on the floor like, oh my gosh, keep quiet. that was actually a little refectory.
Right.
And the set was built and done. So like they could have had their lunch in there,
Really?
and done. And I actually did a vending machine on the wall with 3 choices, and like put these like bars in there like it was chocolate or whatever. But it was that I sort of the headcanon. I sort of said this to like the grown-ups. It doesn't matter in script terms, but I'd like this was the headcanon that they were getting the same food that the prisoners were getting, but with the flavour. They just kind of didn't know. So they were those guards are as much in prison as the prisoners.
Yeah, that's great.
Was kind of the thinking. But yeah, we didn't get to see the vending machine or the drinks vending machine or that little refectory. It was a cool little set. They just hide in there, and we see it from that shot with them hiding at the door. That's your lot.
Because again, the guards are struggling, aren't they? These guards, you put them a bit sort of imperial. It's an imperial incarceration unit, so they're certainly not as bad as the Morlana 1 guys who we saw the cool pose, but they don't seem that competent. They definitely seem low on numbers. One tiny like nerdy detail which I was noticing was where their special boots are, there is a boot rack. And often when they were saying, oh yeah, they're never going to be as understaffed as they are right now, they're really understaffed, you can see that there were loads of boots on the boot rack, as if to say they are missing lots of members of staff because all those boots are there. And just loads of little things like that, which it all fits. And it goes back to what you were saying, Barry, about all these extra bits. People are caring about it, and people are all building it together to come up with this one story. And you might not notice it first time, but you will in future viewings.
I had to stick numbers on each one of those racks.
But all the way through it, all the way through Andor's 34 shifts, he's asking questions right from the beginning. He's asking questions. How many guards? What are they doing? Questioning the routine very quickly. He's like, oh yeah, we get a new man today, don't we? Just after someone's killed him. Someone's killed himself. He's like, yeah, it's always the next day. And discussing the platforms, just trying to figure out what can we do. He's determined to break those pipes and get some water out, and just thinking about it, because he'd prefer to die fighting than slicing off chunks and all that sort of stuff. And everyone working together. But the whole thing, when it comes out, when Olaf's dying, and it all comes out with the whole semaphore, they fried 2, they made the mistake, they fried the whole level, and that whole thing out at the end of No One's Listening, when he's died, and you can just see that change in Kino. And he's like, right, how many guards on each level? Never more than 12. And you just know that we're building for the big escape. And that's what pretty much episode 10, One Way Out, is about. I mean, it's only 46 minutes. It's a real shorty. I know the episode 1, 2, and 3 were short, but this one is quite short when you consider the sort of the refresh and the credits at the end. And it's all about that getting out. And we've spoken about it. Andor is almost fighting with Kino. It's saying, look, we've got to get out of here. We've got to get out of here. I want to die trying to take them down, and die giving them what they want. And that's when I wrote down, he is Nemec. He is Luthen. He has learned. It's completely there. And that's when there's lots of chat, and Kino just gets up and just yells that whole thing about no one is getting out. And that is the beginning of the end. And what were you guys thinking? You said that this is your favorite arc, but that whole escape.
This show doesn't really do that kind of like, oh my gosh, at the end of an episode. But this was the first one where it finished. I was like, I need the next one right now. I need it now. Now.
Yeah, because you got it capped off with that Luthen speech, haven't you, at the end as well? And it's kind of like it's a big ending. But I do love, and I don't know if you called it out on the Aldani arc, and you'll have to help me out, because I can't remember the character's name. The one who wrote the
Nemec.
him, yeah. And when they're flying out of Aldani, and he's saying to Andor, climb, and this is about climbing, and obviously K2SO says to Andor, climb.
Yeah, it's a thing, isn't it?
It's fantastic. It's just it just adds so many layers to it, and it's just the whole episode. And they're all going up the stairs, they're climbing. This is like I say, this is the rebellion in a microcosm in this little prison. It's the whole story of rising up and getting out, and freedom. It's superb.
I love the fact that incrementally they take the facility back. We get to Kino's monologue where, again, that thing I said about 80% leadership is followership, when Kino does his initial speech and then Andor's like, is that what you got? And he's encouraging him and he's getting amongst it and acting as that team. Andor's body count is rising as he's just like frying people. He's just like laying waste to people. But what I think is really good is that you hear the machine, you hear the announcer who's always in that sort of very heavy voice, the very heavy dominant
on program.
Yeah. And you hear them as they're trying to sort this situation out, because they're like, yeah, we've got a situation. I'm like, you haven't got a situation, mate. You got trouble. But they're in the middle of an announcement, and then you see Andor, you see the camera join them in that room where the Imperials are making that announcement, and it's a guy with just a regular weedy voice, who looks a little bit on the older side of being able to handle himself, and he doesn't look strong. He doesn't have those tools. He doesn't have the stealth aircraft and the ICBMs. He doesn't have all these things. He's just a bloke who's found himself in this position of power, and now that power has been taken away from himself. Now it's his time to cower. And I think the whole thing about he's mid announcement, when you hear the pitch in the voice change out of the filter into what his voice is really like, and you see what the Imperials are really like, and I just think that's very well done.
This is a facility-wide emergency announcement. Complete program protocol will commence in 40 seconds. Any deviation
or failure to comply will result in unit-wide activation. Start the count.
Count engaged.
How long does it take to track down a water break?
The techs are waiting for the floor to secure.
Isolate 5.
Locked in.
5-5, 5-3, 5-6. Burn a firewall around it. Try the whole level. Make the epicenter 5-2.
Too late. There's nobody there.
You shouldn't be here.
Turn it off.
Excuse me?
Turn it off!
That could mean so many things.
I'll turn it off.
Step away.
No!
Yeah, you got the other shot as well, haven't you? When they're storming out and they've got like 4 or 5 of them like hid in the closet, like just be quiet.
That's the refectory.
Yes. Yeah, there are, because I think it's Melchior or someone just bangs on that door as they're running past, and you just see them there. One of them's got the little sort of electro stick, and that's all they've got. They're totally overwhelmed. Now, as you said, you do the maths about 7 by 7 by 7, but and all those people day and a night, and you've got 4,800 prisoners who are annoyed. And,
but exactly that I mean, I don't want to start talking about real world events, but that's kind of an analogy for that the people at the top are the minority. The governments and bureaucracy are a small minority of the total population, but when that population rises up, they can't withstand it. They need that control to keep that power, and when that control's gone, that's when revolutions happen, which is what we're seeing on screen.
It's great. I love Keef making them go on program as well. He goes into that room, he's like, on program. That is good. I don't know. I thought as they left that room, they would have just like fried them, shot them, because Andor's got a bit of a habit, hasn't he, of just shooting people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure each and every time I watch that, I'm like, you could have shot them then, but he didn't. So they just move on. But hey, so that's it. There's one way out. They're all yelling it, and they got out, or did they?
Well, Kino Loy, these 3 words, I can't swim. It's heartbreaking. It's just fucking cold that way. But he must have known that, the whole way to this point. And he's almost smiling when he says it. I can't swim. And what happens to him? That's the question. He's got to come back.
He'll have to do that thing. I'm sure you got taught it in school when you used to swim in your pajamas, right? Take your pajamas off, tie a knot in the bottom, and then try and, as you're bobbing up and down, just desperately treading water, try not to die. You just try and hook a load of air in it, and then sort of sit, and you try and give yourself some sort of buoyancy aid with your own prison garments.
I still want to know where Andor learned to swim. There's no swimming pools on Ferrix, is there?
Maybe Melchi was giving him a brackie or something.
Well, would he have learned to swim on Canary?
Oh yeah, good point. That looks quite
It's wet.
Quite wet and jungly, doesn't it? I'm sure they've got a river somewhere.
Yeah, full of snakes. Anyway, yeah.
Well, they're by a lake.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's not seen himself. There's no reflections, but they are by a lake. So yeah. That's it. That's that's what we got from this incredible arc. There's we've hardly spoken about Narkina 5, but there's hours worth of stuff that we could talk about. And I apologise for the bits that are important to people that we've missed, because it is just so good.
Just think, Jez, if we'd have done our regular review show, we would have crammed all 12 of these episodes into one show. So I think it's impossible. We've given a great overview of it, I think.
Yeah. Well, that was it, gentlemen. Thank you ever so much. It has been brilliant just to talk about this fantastic story. I've loved it. Barry, thank you so much for coming on and telling us your insights, mate. It's been absolutely brilliant. So there's one more arc for us to cover. So we're going to be doing the Daughters of Ferrix and Rick's Road, the final episodes 11 and 12, which we'll be able to drop probably just before season 2 comes out. So around about sort of Celebration, maybe just before Celebration time.
Can't wait to see what comes out of Celebration.
Indeed. So until next time, it's goodbye from Peter.
Nice one. Good night, guys.
Goodbye from Dan.
One way out.
Indeed. And thanks once again, and goodbye from Barry.
Goodbye. I've got nothing clever to say.
And it's goodbye from me. We are Generation Skywalker. All eras, all passions, all Star Wars.